Hey folks, this is John Miller, Executive Editor with WB News. We would like to welcome you to Ask the Experts, featuring John Halterman of Beacon Wealth Management. John is the founder, owner, and certified wealth strategist at Beacon Wealth Management. You can find out more at bwmwb.com. And now live from the studios of the Exponent Telegram in Clarksburg, West Virginia, let's Ask the Expert. Welcome to Ask the Expert. Hey, today we are joined by John Halterman of Beacon Wealth Management. John, how are you today?
Hey, John, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am doing well. I tell you what, the conversation has come up, amongst friends. I know you've talked to people, a lot of federal workers, a lot of chaos, a lot of things going on. And one of the things that I'm hearing, because I'm of that age where, you start thinking about retirement, is I've had people ask me about, what happens with my pension and taxes and how's that all play out? And they've got so many different accounts, TSPs and regular pensions. So kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's a lot on the plate of federal employees right now because, for many of them, they might have had 5 years to plan their retirement or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden they go from a 5-year mindset to, hey, look, I got 4 or 5 months, and there's a new sense of urgency. And of course, that sense of urgency comes with a lot of stress because they're under the gun, based on what's going on with the political environment we're in. And so, one thing I tell people is that I get it. I get the chaos. And the first thing I would tell you is that take a deep breath. There are people like myself, our team, who can help you. We're here for you because what you're getting ready to do one time in your life, we've done it a lot, thousands of times. And we do this every day. And it doesn't matter whether we do it under the gun, whether we do it with time on our side. This is what we do. It's kind of like a surgeon who you came into and you have all these blocked arteries and they got to do a quadruple bypass. Well, that stuff moves fast. Well, that's what I feel like we're under here is that we're the surgeon for the FBI or the VA or any of the federal employees who are just in chaos and they don't know what to do. And so, and they got a lot on their plate. Because like you said, they got their pension that they got to figure out, okay, what pension option should I be taking? You got your supplement. Do I qualify for my supplement? When should I take Social Security? What do I do with my TSP? What do I do with my life insurance? How do I create an income, taxes? So all of those things, definitely the federal employees got to deal with right now.
And I think one thing that they need to be aware of is that there are potential tax consequences if it's not handled right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because, here's the rules. With the TSP, okay, it works. It's for most people, a lot of that money was pre-tax money. Either they put it in on a pre-tax basis and definitely the government put it in the matching on a pre-tax basis. Now, some of them will have Roth, but not a lot of them do. But pre-tax basically means that if you take it out, okay, or when you take it out, you're going to be taxed as ordinary income. And so that means that depending on your tax bracket is going to depend on how much you owe. So I've had some people say to me, you know what, I want to pay off my home. And I'll say, how much you owe? And they said, $500,000. And I said, do you realize if you take out a big lump sum to pay off your home, I said, you're going to have to take out, $700 to get $500 net. And they said, why? And I said, well, think about this. Now, all of a sudden, you have income taxed at $500,000, $700,000 versus taxed at $100,000. And I said, so that just raised your bracket. So you got to figure the net amount is going to be far less. And they're like, oh, heck, I didn't even know that. I was just going to take it out because they want that security. And I don't blame them. Who doesn't want security? But if it's going to create a tax situation for you. And then, of course, some of them are 59 and a half. So they got to be thinking that not only will they have to pay ordinary income, but they will have to pay also a 10% penalty if it's in IRA. Now, I will say, if you're over the age of 55 and you leave some in TSP, well, that money qualifies under a different rule. So it's called Rule of 55. And so they can take money out of TSP, but they can't take money out of IRA if they're not 59 and a half, if they don't want to pay that penalty. So definitely some tax rules. You got to know those.
It's very complex. So, as we've said, it's really important that they feel that they sit down with somebody they can trust and somebody that understands those different rules. You know, the rules with TSP, the rules with pension, the rules with Roth. And the other thing is I mean, the rules haven't changed in terms of Social Security. They still don't qualify for Social Security until they hit their age
That is
bracket.
correct. Yeah. You're not getting any advantage. They're not saying, hey, look, because you're leaving federal employment, that we're going to lower the threshold. No. And that's the thing, too. A lot of people, they might have someone who did investments for them. They might have someone that did insurance work for them, but that doesn't necessarily make them a Social Security expert, in knowing how to, because the one thing I'll tell you is we have specialized for the last 30 years in retirement income, and retirement income encompasses everything: your pension, your investments, how much you take out, your rental properties, working part-time, your Social Security, and you got to make sure that all of those work cohesively together. That creates you a plan that allows you to transition from working to being able to enjoy your lifestyle. And so, yeah, you got to know, when's the best time to take the payout, because, for everybody, it's going to be just a little bit different. It's not a clear black and white, hey, I'm 62 or hey, I'm 70. No, it's got to be individualized. But that's what we do. We take all of those things into consideration and come up with a step-for-step strategy that's going to allow them to have that confidence, to deal with the taxes, to deal with the income, to deal with Social Security, every single bit of it.
In terms of again, it's painful, it's emotional. People, I know you've mentioned talking to people that have been pretty stirred up by it. But when they're done talking with you, when you're able to point them in the pathway, how does that make you feel? And is that like so rewarding to you?
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, because I always look at it the same way a surgeon would look at it. If you come into a surgeon and you need quadruple bypass, usually you're struggling. You're having breathing problems. You're having symptoms. And well, guess what? They're having symptoms too. It's called stress. It's called, this extra chaos that's in their life. And so they're coming to me in a time to where they just feel so much uncertainty. And then we go, just like the surgeon, they do the surgery. All of a sudden they wake up. Once they recover, now all of a sudden the life changes. Well, it's the same thing. When we get someone through this process and we take care of all the steps, it's very rewarding on both sides, because they get to win, because all of a sudden now, they know what's going on in their life. They now have that certainty of having a strategy put in place. We feel good because we see the difference in them. I mean, when someone comes in right that 6 months before they retire, even though this can be a big monumental moment in their life, it creates a lot of stress. And so to see that having to be relieved from then them being able to go and take those trips, because, one thing that people always tell me, I rarely have people who say to me, hey, I'm going to retire and I'm just going to go crawl in bed and that's all I'm going to do. They want to do things. They want to enjoy life. And now all of a sudden they're being able to financially feel confident, and they're able to take those trips, spend that time with their family, build something, build a garden, build whatever hobbies they have. Like this guy was telling me the other day, he said, ever since I've been retired, John, he goes, I have 3 wood sheds. And he goes, now I do all these wood projects. And he goes, and 3 or 4 of my buddies come over, and every day we work on wood projects together. He goes, I've never had a better life than this. And he goes, but it's all because you put together the steps to allow me this. I don't know how you did it completely, but he goes, but I know that I came in, I told you what I wanted to do, I told you what I was worried about, and now you've given me, that financial freedom, that confidence to where I can feel good that I'm going in the right direction.
In our past discussions, John, and we've talked a good bit, is, we've talked about the difference between trying to push a product and deliver results.
You deliver results. Yeah, that's a big key, because, the difference is we're not salespeople. We're professional fiduciaries. And as a professional fiduciary, the thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a great understanding of you. And that when we make a recommendation, we know it's going to be unique to you as the individual. It's not about our product, because we have lots of products, and so the product has to be a solution to that unique situation. And if it's not, then it's just a product. It's just like taking it's like being misdiagnosed and then being prescribed the wrong medication. It doesn't matter if it works under different circumstances. If it's not the right one, it's not going to work. And so that's what we pride ourselves in, is making sure that we focus on the outcome, the outcome you desire, because the outcome you desire is the only thing we want to achieve. And we want to make sure that, the best we can, we allow you that opportunity to create that desired outcome.
And I think that's really important. I've heard that, and a point of emphasis would be it's the outcome they desire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about what lifestyle they want, what legacy they want. It's about them and their family. Because, you could tell. I mean, when I say you could tell, like, people come and they start talking about, well, hey, we can give you this return. Or like I went in somewhere the other day and it said, ask me how we can guarantee you a 10% return the first year on your IRA. And it was a sales pitch. And basically, it was a thing that had a bonus to it, to where they gave you so much money to open the account. Well, to me, that's BS. And when I say that, it's like, we all know the guarantee rates right now are not 10%. But to hear that makes it attractive. And that's not what we're about. We're not about that fancy product marketing. We're about, how do we provide solutions that are customized to your unique situation? Because it's about you achieving your life goals, not about us. I mean, yeah, we're a facilitator. We're part of the process, but we want you to win so that it can be a win-win relationship. We don't want it to be about us and us winning alone.
John Halterman, Beacon Wealth Management. Give him a call today.